Welcome back, everybody, as we continue playing through End of a New Beginning as the United States. It's now April of 1874. If you haven't seen the series up to this point, click on the link in the description. That'll take you all the way back to episode 1. If you like this series and you want to support this channel, the best thing you can do is watch the video all the way to the end. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment. I'd appreciate all those things. Let's see where we're at this moment. We control all of what used to be Mexico, most of Central America except for a few British holdings, all the way down to and including the nation of Colombia. And we've kind of taken a break from conquering further territory as we've been working on infrastructure, working on building up our political stability, working up our national stability, and just doing some general research and kind of preparing ourselves for the future. With that said, I'm going to start focusing on the Navy more and more as we get a little further on, because we're going to start looking at the Caribbean, wanting to take some of these things like Cuba, Dominican Republic, Haiti. Incidentally, I mentioned this a few episodes ago, but there was a very concerted push about this time in history to acquire the Dominican Republic by the United States. President Grant was very much in favor of that. It didn't work out. He couldn't get the support that he needed from Congress, but the officials in the Dominican Republic were all about it, and he just couldn't get the support at home to make it happen. Just looking at the current power projection, we completed the focus Carnegie Steel. You can see we are the most powerful nation on Earth at this point, followed by the UK, France, Ottoman Empire, and the North German Confederation, and then Brazil, right there at number 6 in the world right now. So those are considered to be great powers. Great powers go all the way down through the top 8, so that also includes Russia and the Kingdom of Italy right now. You can see the government types of each of those. You can see the population of each of those. Obviously, Russia has twice as many people as we do, but we're going to be focusing a little bit more on trying to bring in more people. You can see in terms of factories, we do have the number 2 industrial power right now behind Germany with 91 factories. Number of divisions, Germany also has the most. So in terms of factories and divisions, Germany is kind of the big fish right now. In terms of ships, we are just ahead of France with the second most powerful navy in the world, though I haven't really used it very much. And you can see really only 3 significant naval powers in the world, and that'd be these top 3. So just some interesting information to look at there. So as I mentioned, we are going to focus a little on immigration. We have a bit of a tree for that. So the American dream is right here, but we actually can't do it until we have the Statue of Liberty. And the Statue of Liberty historically was originally given in the 1860s. It wasn't actually assembled in the United States, I think, until the mid-1880s. They had to do a big fundraising effort here in the U.S. to raise the funds to be able to erect the statue on what was then known as Bedloe's Island, which is right next to Ellis Island. And now at the time, at this point in history, Ellis Island was not where immigrants were coming into the United States. They actually were coming in through a place called Castle Clinton, which is actually today where you get your tickets in Manhattan to go see the Statue of Liberty. It's right down on the tip of Manhattan, and you can still see it today. So we've got to continue then on this. Oh, we've actually got big stick diplomacy down here too. Now that's kind of a Theodore Roosevelt thing. We can't do that until January of 1898. But that's kind of all we have on our current focus tree. There's not a lot left, really. So I guess for now, let's do Standard Oil. The Ottoman Empire has invited us to the World's Fair. Oh, that's not the one I was looking at. I wanted to look at this. Protests have rung out across the nation and are outraged by the use of child labor. Pictures of the poor conditions of a factory in Maryland have showed the horrific conditions placed on children and teenagers. People have begun to call for legislation to stop this, but the business tycoons have requested for us to ignore these issues. Yeah, I think we're going to say that poor girl. Death in the workplace. A minor factory in the District of Columbia has contracted widespread criticism with the death of one of its workers. Poor conditions, long hours, and dangerous machinery were the cause of such. Oh boy. I'm not going to worry about what Carnegie Steel thinks of me. I'm looking for further reforms, and then we're actually going to call an election soon so I can get somebody besides John Bell to be my president. I think we already have universal suffrage, we do. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things like political parties, no. Freedom of assembly, press, child labor law. What do we have? It's restricted right now. I think we'll keep it right there. Trade laws, we have free trade. I'm actually going to try and switch this to an export focus because what I want to do is I've got a lot of things that I'm producing, and by exporting more, let me take a look at trade for just a second and show you what I mean. Here we go. So we're actually producing quite a bit of some items. For example, right here, we're just producing a ton of wood, way more than we need. In fact, we don't need a lot of most things at the moment. So we're going to try to export focus to export some of that additional, because that's going to ramp up the number of civilian factories that I have, because I have so few civilian factories. I'm trying to build up my infrastructure right now, and I just need more civilian factories to do that. Okay, it looks like we have a comfortable margin when it comes to the votes for the Free Export Act of 1874, so I'm not going to really use any of my influence to push that, because I think even if we end up with less than 170, we're going to be definitely clear of 128 for that one. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start sending this big navy that I've got out on maneuvers, because I haven't really been using them. So we're going to do that in order to build up our experience so that we can start kind of inventing new ships and things like that. And I'm trying to figure out where that is on here. Oh, it was the very first thing. Okay, so naval exercises. We're going to start putting our two biggest navies on naval exercises. That'll start building up that naval experience that we need. Now right here it's at 0 right now. Looks like we're going to gain pretty quickly. All right, the results are in, and we were pretty accurate that time on what we guessed. We were estimating 170. We got 166 votes. So export focus is going to hopefully, not only does it give us a additional political stability point, hopefully it's going to free up some more factories for me. And it looks like it has. So we're actually looking pretty good at the moment. We got a research slot available. We just researched early Zeppelins. We're going to go do the Du Temple monoplane now. We're working our way toward inventing flight. Really not sure what I was thinking when it came to the trade stuff. Free trade's actually better than export focus as far as trying to export more things. We're going to go ahead and vote back the other way. But the good news is some of these things I'm just voting just because I'm trying to build up my political stability. And every time you get one of these reforms passed, you build that up. So it's not a huge deal, really, if I push it one way and then push it back the other. It still helps me with that political stability. This one's going to be a little closer vote, but it looks like they're still going to support it, which is kind of interesting. Let's take a look and see where we're at here. We're going to research traffic signals next. So let's go ahead and do that. Death in the workplace. They didn't follow safety instructions. Okay, we're at 66 million in our population. Our population has been steadily climbing at a pretty significant rate. I guess at some point that might become a problem, but for now I'm not too worried about it. You can see now we've got 112 Navy experience, so we're building a bunch of that, which is going to come in handy for building new ship designs. Okay, so let's take a look and see if we can call for elections. Yes? No? Doesn't look like it's going to allow me to do that. Oh, I clicked it several times. Oh, jeez. I clicked it too many times. No opposition left. Opposition to the current governing body in the United States is now de facto non-existent. Every single politician supports us, or at least is not against us, making the political climate in our country very relaxed. So that's because we have that political stability of 3. Any elections are by event now. I don't know how I feel about that. Alternators, factory output. Yeah, I want to boost the construction. Oh, wait, that's way, way ahead. Interesting. I guess these are all considered 1880 technology. So I'm thinking as it's 1875 and we are only about 40 years away from what was historically World War I thought it might be a fun time to start thinking about changing what the United States looks like as far as the type of nation it is. And so I'm going to start moving us toward basically a de facto dictatorship, a totalitarian regime, if you will. And there are a lot of ways that we can affect that sort of change. We can obviously ban political parties altogether. Or we can limit party freedom. We can use the courts to basically make kangaroo courts. We can censor the press, make it state-controlled. We can ban the freedom of assembly, things like that. So I think we're going to do that just because I think it would be fun to see what happens if we do that. And there's a lot of changes we would need to make in order to do that. But let's start moving toward kind of a de facto dictatorship, shall we? Let's start with the press. So we'll make these in little incremental steps. You know, the theory is, you know, you put a frog in boiling water, he jumps out. You put a frog in lukewarm water, and then you slowly turn it up to a boil, and he doesn't. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to first vote to censor the press. Let's see what our people think of that. Dang, we're only going to have 84 votes for that. So we're going to have our work cut out for us if we want to make this happen. So socially egalitarians are not in favor. Traditional conservatives, that's the big group we're really going to have to win over here. So where are the traditional conservatives? Let's meet them and see if we can push that number at all. Well, I only gained 3 votes. It doesn't seem likely I'm going to get their support for this. So maybe we'll try the centrists. Or maybe we do what dictators would do. We ban opposition parties. We arrest opposition leaders. That's obviously going to hurt stability, but that's okay. Let's arrest opposition leaders and see what happens. That's just 4 days away, and that's still going to leave us 17 days for voting, and we're actually getting kind of low on legislative power now. So we're going to have to be a little more careful of how we spend that. Where does that put us? That still puts us at 87. That didn't do anything to change the outcome. Like political deals, I'm just not sure this is going to happen. So I think what we're going to have to do with these types of reforms that we're wanting to make, it's going to probably have to happen by being kind of dictatorial and just doing it by executive action, which is obviously going to hurt my stability, but that's okay. No, we're not going to do that. Yeah, not unexpectedly, it was a disaster, that vote. I'm looking at military vehicles here. Armored trains. Bicycle as a military vehicle. Interesting. Down here we get things like the internal combustion engine and steam cars. So we'll start working toward those things now. But let's go ahead and take a look at internal politics. Let's go ahead and look at reforms. And we're going to start with, I think, political reforms, I guess is where we're going to have to go with this. So, political parties. Here we go. Underground parties. Our first dictatorial action. It does hurt our stability, but we're going to start moving in that direction. Actually, over here, the gospel of wealth is going to give me some bonuses to construction speed and factory output. That'll be helpful. So here's the next thing. We're going to go to absolutism. So there will be no elections anymore. It's just going to be no voting, executive power. It's kind of interesting that I can go that substantially in one direction without any kind of authority whatsoever. Okay, April 1875, the German Empire has been proclaimed. After a long struggle dating back from when an early sense of German unity was established through the means of the Holy Roman Empire, the country is finally united as one from all its minor states. Former Prussian monarch and now German Emperor Wilhelm I was crowned after a resounding victory in a battle against France. This will no doubt have massive effects on European politics as the existing powers have to welcome a new player to the world stage. Man, so if we could get on the side of the Kaiser there, I think that's going to be a big deal for us because they're already quite powerful. But now it's the German Empire. And we have the Austrian Empire there. And this is a real threat to the rest of Europe and the world as a whole. Here are our current research options that we're taking on. We got the Martini Henry rifle. It's almost done. Early armored train, industrial fertilizers, and stronger naval hulls. It is June 1875 now, and we probably will start thinking about further expansion at some point in the near future, but right now I'm still working on making these significant changes. I'm just looking at how different things are affecting us at the moment in terms of legislative power. All right, what else can we do here? So let's look at internal politics. Even though I've banned parties, it feels like that really didn't have much of an impact on things. So what about law and order, healthcare? Let's pause for a second here. Economic mobilization. Can we go to total mobilization? Can we do that? That would actually be really helpful. It's almost like a war economy. But I think right now what we're going to do is reform the courts. No, let's not do that. So I notice we haven't gone to full equality yet. So let's go ahead and vote on that reform. Not sure how voting works in the current climate, but let's go ahead and do it. I feel like that's something that we can probably do. Oh, we can build new weapons now. Go up to that Martini Henry rifle. Let's go ahead and look at new technologies in terms of weapons. We got a new flexible mount for the machine gun we can research. All right, decisions available. Looks like it's going to be super close. So I think this is one, if we can get a few more traditional conservatives on our side, it'll pass. Well, that one went down to failure just barely. So I think we're going to have to give that one another go. I think with a little more push, we can probably make it happen. Spread of electricity. All right, let's give that one another go. I think we can make it work. Full equality. Vote for this reform. Let's vote in a month. Let's see who we need to push to make this happen. It's saying 126. We need 128. Traditional conservatives are a little more on board this time. There aren't that many radical Democrats. I still feel like traditional conservatives are who we need. So let's go ahead and see if we move any of them. We're at 126. Okay, that moved 2 in our direction. Let's go ahead and see if fine compromises will make it happen. Because I want to try and pass things like this that I think I can get support for the traditional way, because that'll keep the political stability up. Because I'm going to spend political stability to make my radical reforms that I know will never pass. Hopefully this moves us a little further. That didn't move us at all. Okay, we're still 28 days away from the vote. Radical Democrats, see, there aren't that many of them. How many of them are there? There's only 25. Centrists are the next highest voting bloc. So where are they on this? They're at 41%. So they actually might be worth talking to. Okay, let's see. We got one day until we're done meeting with them. Let's see if this 128 goes up at all. Okay, it went up to 132. That's a little bit of breathing room. It's still, man, it's going to be a close vote. Make political deals only costs 20. So let's go ahead and give that a try and see if that helps at all. Okay, here we go. One day. Let's see if that pushes. Okay, that gives us up to 140. Now I think we're safe. We've got 11 days until the vote. Okay, so here it comes. This is going to be a close vote, but I think we've got it. And the results, it's a success. Man, see, we estimated 140. It was only 130 in actuality, so it's a good thing that I pushed for those few extras, or else it might not have happened. So that gets us full equality now, at least, you know, in a perfect world. Obviously, this is 1875, and though the law granted full equality in the government of the United States, not for women, but for men anyway, supposedly, it didn't really happen in actuality, and we understand that. But now we're back up to 2 political stability. So now, let's go ahead and look for another. What are the decisions that we have available to us right now here? Let's take a look at that real quick. If there's anything new. It doesn't appear to be. All kind of the same stuff we had before. Reintroduce the hereditary system. Interesting. Although John Bell's not the guy I really wanted to make that happen with, but okay, look for an heir. Okay. We need an heir badly. Let us lower our expectations. We need to make sure our heir is valid. Let us be careful. We will take most people as long as they have somewhat valid claims. Sure, why not? Let's do that. We also have a research slot available. We're going to work on our military some more. All right, so we've researched in our national focus, we've done spread of electricity. That brings us to this one. We can go from industrialized to electrification. And here are all the changes that makes. So it's kind of a big leap technologically, and it takes 210 days to research it. Okay, our next step toward totalitarianism. We're going to go ahead and vote for a censored press. Let's go ahead and do vote for the reform and see what the odds are that it'll pass. If it doesn't seem like it'll pass, we'll go ahead and do things our way and just make it happen on our own. Looks like we've only got 95 votes for that. Mostly it's traditional conservatives that are against it. So we'll try once to see if we can push them toward this, but if we can't get significant change in the voting, then we'll probably just do this the old-fashioned way. So yeah, we didn't move anybody on that one, so this law is definitely not going to pass on its own. So we're going to wait until the vote happens, and then we're going to go ahead and use executive order to make it happen. We got 108 total. So we're going to go all the way to banned on freedom of, actually that's freedom of assembly, not press. We're going to go to state-controlled press by executive order. They're not going to like that, but we've still got a political stability of 2. Some new technology to research, armored train battery 2, and also steam car prototypes. So let's go ahead and take a look one more time at the demographic situation. We're almost at 69 million people in the population. In the 1880 United States Census, the U.S. had a population just over 50 million people. 50,189,000, which was a 30% increase over the previous year. And 1/10 of the entire U.S. population lived in New York State. So that gives you a little bit of information on that. By 1890, the U.S. population was about 63 million, so we're ahead of even that. And that was a 25% increase over the previous year. We've brought electricity to the city, so that's a big deal. We are now done with that whole line, and I don't think there's a whole lot else we can do right now. We can't do the American Dream until we get the Statue of Liberty. Which I don't know if there's anything I can do to gain that. We are in the bicentennial year, or the centennial year of 1876, and we can't do big stick diplomacy till 1898. So we're kind of stuck right now with no further national focuses we can do. So what we can do instead is do these continuous focuses, which gives me weekly stability bonuses, incentivize population growth. I don't think we need that. Invest into research, fund weapons manufacturing, focus on army training. I think we'll go with stability right now. All right, we're going to start increasing our state sponsorship of research. And let's see if we can do that through voting. We'll take a look and see where we're at on that vote, because I'd like to keep that number on political stability up as high as possible whenever I can. Oh, we can advance to the machine era. Is that possible yet? We need to be after 1880 and have researched petrol engine, stainless steel, microbiology, and early power station. So we should be watching for those things so that we can push toward that. Okay. The Science Funding Act only has 68 votes. That is definitely not happening no matter what I do. Okay, so that vote was a miserable failure. Only 78 votes for that one. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what else we can do then. I don't think there's much we're going to be able to do as far as changes that'll help in the short term. Let's actually go ahead and look over at the actual national economic policies and how those things are actually affecting us. So compulsory education gives us a bonus to research speed. Secular state gives us a bonus to research speed as well. State-controlled press doesn't seem to have any impact that we can see at the moment. It doesn't really show what the different things will do, and maybe there's no difference at the moment. I don't know. You can see here there is a difference on some of these. So some of these just really don't have, maybe they haven't fully fleshed them out yet, which is fine. We know this is a work in progress. Here, you can see the bonuses if we make a change in the Army expense budget. If we drop to low taxes, we're going to lose legislative power gain, but it looks like everything else actually helps. So maybe that's what we should do next. And I think that'll probably be the last thing we do for this episode. We've done quite a bit here. So tax rates. Let's go to low taxes. Let's vote for that reform and see what happens. Not exactly the kind of thing that a totalitarian regime would do, but we're still working on being totalitarian. So that one's going to pass. We got 154 votes for that. I don't think we need to do anything. Americans are angry. Our populace has taken to the streets to enforce their demand for more rights and self-determination. If we were to fight them, our government would stand weakened, but if we don't, we might have to give in to their demands. Yikes. We switched from absolutism to parliamentary suffrage. We can do this, but we're going to lose a ton of legislative power. Nope, we're not going to give it up. Forget that. How many days do we have until the vote? Still 18 days. There it is. Voting results. 137 passes the Affordable Taxes Act of 1876. I'm just looking to see what research will be next. Flight technology, we are about as far as we can go on that one right now. Army doctrines, we can continue on with. Worldwide Navy, ballistics research. Let's do ballistics research. And we'll wrap it up right there. That was a lot that happened there, but if you would, let me know your thoughts on the direction I'm going with this and where you think I should go next. And I think we'll probably start thinking about expansion again in the next episode. I'd like to acquire some Venezuelan oil if I can. And we'll start thinking about going after the Caribbean. So use that comment section below. Hit that like button if you would, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.